Hello, my name is Krishna and I am from the University of Michigan. So, a really tough situation that I faced actually came from a girl named Lindsay. She was 16 years old and she is currently on the autism spectrum. And I remember her mother telling me before I met her that she really couldn't communicate her feelings in a way and verbalize them, and that she was an active, very active child, and I had to spend pretty much 2 hours with her for a volunteer program in a library. So the first 30 minutes that I had, a lot of it was just running around and trying to make sure that she didn't bump into other kids or tear any of the books. And I was pretty scared because I wanted to make sure that she was doing okay, that she wasn't intimidated, and that the fact that her mother was gone, she didn't feel scared herself. But I didn't really know whether or not what she was feeling because she couldn't communicate it to me. And so there was a point where she sat down on her chair and she started to cry a little bit, and I felt really bad because I I didn't know what to do in that situation. Um, and then she started singing scales, and it was really interesting actually because I had heard her hum a little bit. And so I'm part of an a cappella, just a backstory with that. So I sing pretty much 6 hours a week. And so when I heard that, I recognized that it was a scale, and I said, maybe she responds well to music. So I sat down with her and I looked her into her eyes and I sang a scale back. And then she stopped crying and she paused. And then she looked right at me and then she sang that scale back. And we did this for about an hour and a half where we would just sing scales to each other. We would sing arpeggios. I would show her music. I would show her all the different a cappella music that I listened to. And she really calmed down. So in this situation, I felt as if I had utilized my own skills that I had had previously to help someone in need. And I think that's something that's really important to teaching. It's something that's really important to life situations when you're faced with a challenge, to not really forget the things that you've learned in the past, even though it might not seem related, and to be creative in a situation that might make you intimidated or frustrated. So I mentioned this before, but I believe that teaching is kind of a way for a teacher to allow a student to surpass his or own checkpoints or his or own advancements in life. I kind of see it as I'm here and I want to take you here. And I think as a student in a low urban community, that can be hard to visualize because there's so many uncontrollable factors in your life that cause you to feel as if you have no real real control, real autonomy over your life decisions. And so something that I'm really working to do is to make sure people understand that they have that control and that they can exceed their own feeling of I only can go a certain amount, like I only have a limit. And I think Blue Engine, with the collaborative effort that they have, also with the intimate connections you gain through working with a couple of students every day, allows you to establish a connection with a student, but also allows you to further mentor them in a non-academic setting. And I think that's really important when you want to help someone, not just want to help someone that their academic problems might not be stemmed from them not studying as much, but more of the fact that they just don't have the resources or they just don't have the mentor that can push them to, excel in what they're passionate about. So the Jim Crow article was extremely thought-provoking and definitely something that I've thought about in the past. Being a University of Michigan student, I'm part of a campus that's extremely aware of issues such as this because of the location that we're in, but also because of a lot of the events that have happened over the recent, the recent months with Stop Spencer and all the different movements. We just had our Women's March a couple of weeks ago. So definitely something that I've been thinking about. And I think when Michelle says the statement where it says, what has changed since the collapse of the Jim Crow has less to do with the basic structure of our society than with the language we use to justify it. I think that's really, I think it's accurate because this idea, I think people sometimes think, oh, it's just a structure of society that allows us to oppress or that allows us to think that there's this racial hierarchy. And for me, that kind of seems as if you have you're kind of letting go of this responsibility of changing what you see because you think it's just social norms and something that you won't be able to change. And I think language, the way we talk, the way we use our words to communicate with other people, that is something that we can 100% control with ourselves. We can 100% make that change and make that difference in how we talk and how we kind of refer to other people of other races. And I think that's an important viewpoint, an important discrepancy to have between what am I responsible for when it comes to racial divides, or when it comes to oppression, or when it comes to things such as these social problems, and what do I need to do? And I think the answer is as much as you possibly can, and that you have a lot more control over these problems than you think. And I think one question that I come off of it is, how? I think that's what everyone's question is at this point, because we've tried so many ways. There's so many people fighting for these causes, so many movements, so many protests, and the new Jim Crow is not very new. It's just been put up a lot in the media, and whether or not that's a good thing, I'm not sure. And I really believe that this is something that we can be responsible for, as at least my generation that's going into the work and morality, getting out of college, graduating. We're about to shape this generation. So I think it's really important, for at least for us, to think that we're responsible for the things that happen in our world, in our nation. And it's both scary, but also very motivating.